This summary explores the environmental and geographical reasons why a gap in technology emerged between Eurasia and the Americas, as famously argued by Jared Diamond. It is designed for a 5-minute presentation. 5-minute summary. Why did Native American civilizations remain in the Stone Age? 1. The civilizational gap. Approximately 18,000 years ago, all of humanity lived in the Stone Age. However, while Eurasian societies eventually moved into the Bronze and Iron Ages, the indigenous peoples of the Americas largely remained in the Stone Age. When Europeans arrived, they brought iron weapons and, more devastatingly, biological weapons in the form of infectious diseases. This technological gap allowed small European forces to subdue massive empires, like the Inca and Aztec, with startling ease. 2. It's not biology, it's geography. For a long time, racists used this gap to argue for differences in intellectual ability. However, anthropologist Jared Diamond, in his work Guns, Germs, and Steel, argues that the disparity was entirely due to environmental luck. The agriculture factor. Eurasian societies had access to nutrient-rich grains like wheat and barley. In contrast, the Americas relied on corn, which was harder to domesticate and lower in protein. The livestock factor. Eurasia was home to large, domesticable mammals like cows, horses, and camels. These animals provided manure for fertilizer and power for plowing. North America had only dogs, and South America had llamas, neither of which could pull a plow or a heavy cart. 3. The invention of the wheel and immunity. The lack of large animals had two massive side effects. The wheel. Because there were no horses or oxen to pull carts, there was little practical incentive for American civilizations to develop the wheel for transportation. Infectious disease. Most Old World diseases, smallpox, measles, flu, jumped from livestock to humans. Because Eurasians lived with these animals for millennia, they developed immunity. Native Americans, living in a pristine environment, had no such defenses. By the time Pizarro reached the Inca, smallpox had already wiped out a vast portion of the population. 4. Continental axis, east-west versus north-south. Geography played a final, decisive role. Eurasia is oriented east to west. This means cultures across the continent share similar latitudes and climates, making it easy for crops, animals, and ideas to spread from China to Europe. The Americas are oriented north to south. Moving from north to south requires crossing vastly different climate zones, deserts, and mountain ranges. This geographic isolation prevented the exchange of technologies and crops between different American tribes. 5. The result, a fragmented culture and language. Because intertribal exchange was so difficult, languages became highly localized. North America alone once had over 300 distinct languages. Today, many of these languages are on the verge of extinction as younger generations prioritize English for economic survival. However, legislation like the Native American Languages Act of 1990 provides subsidies to help tribes preserve their linguistic heritage and revitalize their unique identities. Conclusion. The Stone Age status of Native Americans was not a reflection of their potential, but a result of being unlucky with their geography. They maximized the resources they had, such as corn and the potato, but the lack of draft animals and the north-south axis of the continent created a hurdle that made it impossible to match the rapid technological expansion seen in Eurasia. Key statistics for context: languages, originally over 300 in North America. Today, most are endangered. Crops. Indigenous farmers developed crops that provide 60% of the world's current food supply. Livestock. Eurasia had 13 out of 14 of the world's major domesticable large mammals. The Americas had only one, the llama.